In this video, I'll talk about section 2.4, measure of variation. In section 2.3, we learned how to measure the central tendency of a dataset, mean, median, mode, and in this section, we'll learn how to measure the variation or the spread of a dataset. So we can have range, variance, and deviation. Range, just minimum. Maximum minus minimum, that's very easy to calculate. As we learned, there are two types of variables, quantitative and categorical. What do we learn in section 2.3? The mean, median, mode. Well, mean and median are used to describe the central tendency of a quantitative variable. Here, range, variance, and deviation are also used to describe the variance or the variation of a quantitative variable, so not for categorical. Well, for mode, a mode can be used for a categorical variable, as we showed in section 2.3. Okay, this example shows how to find the range manually, very easy. But range does not tell us the detail, it only tells us the spread, like what's the difference between the largest value and the smallest value, and that's it. It ignores the details. So we use variance and the standard deviation more commonly than range when we want to describe the variation. Deviation, variance, it's based on deviation, so let's introduce deviation first. Deviation is the difference between the data value entry x and the mean. So for a population dataset, that'll be x minus the population mean. If you have a sample dataset, that'll be x minus x bar, which is a sample mean. Let's first find the mean. Now assume this is a population, because the corporation only hired 10 graduates and that's all. So that's the population. Now the population mean, you add all together, divide by 10, it's 41.5. Okay, now let's use a table to calculate the deviation for each number. So for the first number, 41 minus 41.5, that's negative because the salary is below the population mean. And so does the second number, and that's also negative. 45, it's higher than the population mean, so the deviation is positive. So you should find the deviation for each data engine. Some are positive, some are negative. It could be 0 if it is equal to the population mean. And to find the variance, we need to square the deviations. As you can see, if we don't square deviations, some are negative, some are positive. If you add them together, they will cancel with each other. So we don't want that to happen. Then we need to square every deviation to make them be all non-negative, and then add all the squares together, and then divide by the population size. So that's the population variance. And let's look at this example. So we find the deviation and square every deviation and then add them together, that's 88.5. See, if you don't square deviations, if you just add them together, you always got a 0. You'll have positive and negative deviations and they cancel with each other. That's not what we want. That's why we have to square. Now if you square and then add them together and divide by 10, then you get 8.9. So that's the population variance. So it tells you how far your number's away from the mean.